One of the most important economic numbers that almost nobody pays attention to unless it's convenient is now flashing a warning sign that we need to talk about. You know, a lot of people obsess about the unemployment rate, but I have a different number that could be more revealing, and it is called the labor force participation rate. Now, I know a lot of you are going to go, oh, wait a second, David. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing here. And if you've been listening to the show for a while, you probably do. The labor force participation rate measures something really simple. What percentage of American adults are either working or actively looking for work? That's what and then you divide it. So if you've got 100 million adults and 50 million are working or actively looking for work, that is a 50% labor participation rate. Cool. Here's the trick. If someone gets so discouraged that they stop looking for a job altogether, they are no longer counted as unemployed. That's not a big shock. That's the way unemployment has worked for a long time. They disappear from the unemployment statistics. And so you can also look at labor force participation and look at what is happening right now. Labor force participation is dropping, and it's dropping bigly. Now, before we go any further, the segment I'm doing right now is a little bit tongue in cheek. And the reason that it's a little bit tongue in cheek is that really for years or really decades, Republicans have loved using labor force participation as a political weapon. If a Democrat is president, they take out the labor participation rate and they start swiping like it's a cudgel. And every time the number goes down, the talking point is people are dropping out of the workforce. The economy is collapsing. And as I've told you before, labor force participation can go down for reasons of economic concern, or it can go down because the economy is actually really good. I'll give you an example. If people can afford to retire, they go, you know what? I'm comfortable enough. I don't need to keep working. I'm going to retire. Labor force participation goes down, but it's a sign the economy is good because people can afford to retire. Or if parents say, hey, you know what? We don't both need to work. We're okay enough financially that one of us will stay home with the kids and the other will work. Labor force participation goes down, but that's because the economy is good. On the other hand, the labor participation rate can go down because there's no jobs to be found. And there can be other bad reasons, concerning reasons that the labor force participation rate goes down. The point is, I've explained for over a decade that the labor force participation rate going down by itself is less important than why it's happening. Now, let me make one other point. You will often hear politicians brag, more Americans are working than ever. Trump, in fact, said it a few days ago. Or they will say the opposite. More Americans are not working than we've ever seen not work before. It's important to remember that the population of the United States for now keeps growing. It's expected to peak and start to decline 20 years from now or something like that. But for now, the population keeps growing. So when the population keeps growing, almost every raw number eventually becomes the highest ever. If your population is bigger than ever, you can simultaneously have more people than ever working and more people than ever not working because the number of people is bigger than ever. This is why percentages are often more useful than when Trump goes, more people than ever are working. Now, having said all of that, what you see is that labor force participation climbed for several years after the pandemic recovery, reached almost 63%. Trump took office and it steadily has moved lower. June down to 61.5%, which is the lowest level since 2021. Now, am I claiming that this proves Trump destroyed the labor market? No. Just like Republicans were, overselling the metric under Democrats, I'm not going to do the same thing. I'm not playing politics with these metrics. But if Republicans spent years insisting that labor force participation was the best indicator of economic health, they can't suddenly pretend it doesn't matter right now. Either it was important or it wasn't, and they really can't have it both ways. My request, it's a humble request. If we are going to talk about labor force participation when Democrats are president, let's talk about it when Republicans are president too. Let's just apply the same standards regardless of who's in the White House. And if we do that, this is a trend worth paying attention to. If the economy is supposedly the greatest in history, like Trump says, Why are fewer Americans participating than just a couple of years ago? It's a very fair question, and it's one Republicans have taught us to ask. Now, if you go to Trump and you confront him, he'll just go, the stock market's better than ever. Or he'll say, look this way or look that way or think about this other thing. But much like I say, Trump's promise to end the Ukraine-Russia war in a day was an unreasonable one. But he made it many times, and so we should hold him to it. Trump's promise to get energy prices down 50% was completely unreasonable as a promise during the campaign. But he made it, so we should hold him to it. And if Republicans and Trump have told us labor force participation is a really important metric for evaluating the economy, then we should hold them to it when they are the ones in power. Just a humble little request from me. Thanks for watching. Check out another one of our videos and make sure to subscribe so YouTube keeps our content in your feed. And if you prefer audio, subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or Apple.